Every day, there are incredible preparedness deals floating around the internet, but who has time to dig through dozens of websites to find them? That's why we created PrepperFinds.com, your one-stop site for the best prepper deals online. Our team scans the web, finds the biggest discounts on survival gear, food storage, water filters, radios, and more, and posts them in one easy place. No more wasting hours searching or missing out on limited time sales. At PrepperFinds.com, you'll see the best deals every single day, so you can save money while stocking up on what really matters. Check it out today at PrepperFinds.com. Bookmark it, visit daily, and never miss a deal that could keep your family prepared. That's PrepperFinds.com, where smart preppers shop.
Survive, thrive, stay alive. It's time to get prepared with the Prepping Academy podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Prepping Academy podcast. This is Patrick with Grid Down Comms Up. I am joined today by Forrest Garvin, founder of PrepperNet, Garvin Academy, and all kinds of other pretty cool stuff. And welcome to the show today, Forrest.
Hey, thanks for having me. I love this. I mean, it's been a year or so since we've done this, and so I love it coming on, actually having taken the pressure off me and putting it on you.
Yeah, it's fun. It's good to have you here. It has been a while. I think maybe the last time we did this was after Hurricane Helene in Western North Carolina. We did a whole bunch of stuff after you guys were able to evacuate to safety from that situation. Yep. But today we're going to bring you guys a very interesting topic. It's not as much of a prepping topic, but it is a prepping topic that we really need to talk about. And, some of you guys, this was actually, you guys are going to find this funny. This was a little bit before my time. So I'm going to date myself a little bit here. But Skynet is here, guys. If you guys grew up in the Terminator generation, Terminator had been out for a long time before I finally saw it. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we want to talk about privacy because at every turn right now, especially with AI coming on the scene, the amount of data that some would call it your digital exhaust, the amount of data that is just generated on a daily basis about you is, frankly, it is hard for most people to understand and wrap their mind around. And we want to talk about some of the privacy issues, some of the things that you can maybe do to avoid getting caught in some of these privacy traps. And some of it is we're just going to talk about the reality of where we are today as a society with this. And the only way that this is going to change is for you to potentially get politically active in your area. And
I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure that will ever happen, but there are tools that we can become more private. But I will say, before we get started, for your enjoyment, for everyone, we're doing this podcast with our shirts off. So just want everyone to know that. Our shirts are off. We're not in the same room, but that was for your enjoyment. So
we're not even in the same state. And I do believe Forrest has got a 12-pack of PBR sitting over there. There's that Natty Light. Which is it tonight, Forrest?
Yeah, it's neither. But yeah, so privacy is something that I really have been working on for 8 or 9 years. And I'm not very hopeful that things are going to change in the laws. But thankfully, we have so many tools that we can use and things that we can do. There's some things we can't do. You cannot avoid a flock camera. If there's a way, tell me, because I've tried everything I can think through legally to not. And so I've literally mapped out where I go places, and I know where they are and when they're not as well. So that kind of helps, but I hate that. But yeah, we're going to get all into privacy, and just know that a lot of people say, well, you just can't disappear. And, you can. It's your choice. You carry an iPhone. that's recording you well, I got to communicate with work. There's a flip phone. I mean, there are ways that you can get out of the system, but it's difficult and it costs money.
It does. And, you mentioned flock cameras. This is one of these interesting bipartisan issues because there's a I think it's called Flock Out or something like that. There's some
the flock? Mm-hmm.
There's some protests that are set up here sometime soon. It probably will have happened by the time you guys hear this, but that are being organized by some of the more radical left side of the spectrum to protest the use of license plate readers and that kind of thing. And this is becoming a big privacy issue. Right now, Home Depot and Lowe's are both in trouble a little bit because of the use of flock cameras.
I read that today.
Yeah,
I read that today.
I sent that to you, and it's because people have privacy concerns. And I was thinking about this. It's like, they're sharing that with the government, with law enforcement. Well, how long is it before, in some of the more controlling cities, you go to Home Depot, buy a pickup truckload of lumber to build a deck, and then they see you leave the parking lot with that. Gets forwarded to the building department, and they go, "Hey, this person's license plate says whatever." They don't have a building permit. We need to send the codes enforcement people by to see what they're doing. Where does this stop on that front? And I'm going to take a minute because Forrest has been working on a really cool piece of software called Area Study Map. An Area Study Map allows you to find out all kinds of information about the area around you and import that into a map that can be saved offline on your computer. It's cross-platform software. And one of the cool things that you can do is bring in maps of the license plate readers, the flock cameras, and you can see where they are. And sure, there's websites you can go to that are free, and you can look that information up. But the cool thing about Area Study Map is it aggregates together that utilities, hardware stores, gun stores, whatever you can think of. You can bring all that in together, make it easy. So, something you're interested in, go check out areastudymap.com, and you can save $50 off of a lifetime license using my code GRIDDOWNCOMSUP, and find some really cool stuff and make your life a lot easier doing that kind of thing. So,
yeah, so that Area Study Map, it does bring in the flock cameras, and you can definitely mark that on your area study and mark other things in there as well. It's a great resource. I think it's I think it's awesome. And I was so concerned about doing software because of support, but there's been not really any support. We haven't had any problems with it at all. But yeah, go and use his code, get that software. I do a free webinar about once a month. Sign up for the webinar and just write down his code, because I don't give you his code when I do the webinar, so you can save the money. So, privacy is, I feel that privacy is a fundamental human right, and it's been taken away from us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the government is ever, it's such a big business, information and our information. I don't believe that there will be ever laws ever pass to protect our privacy. I just don't think it's going to come down.
There's too much money. Too much money.
So we then have to take it back. And there are tools and resources, and I actually do a free webinar too called Disappear on the Internet that goes through a lot of the tools that you can use to disappear. But there is hope. And I help people disappear all the time through, one of my company called Gray Man Protection. We help people disappear. From who? Family members, from not the law. We don't do that. And we don't dig 6-foot holes either to help them disappear. Okay. We literally will erase their internet and erase all tracking functions so they can literally disappear. So, but it can be done. But I just don't believe. So in 1970, our Congress passed a thing called the Privacy Doctrine Act. It's where our laws state if you share your information with any third party, you have no reasonable expectation of privacy. Who's the third party? Your phone company, your internet company, your bank, your grocery store, the gas station. If you buy anything from these companies and you give them information about you, your bank gets it every time you charge on your debit card, they sell that information. Every time you buy something at the grocery store, they know it's you, they sell that information. You have no reasonable expectation of privacy. That's called the Doctrine Act, U.S. Doctrine Act of 1970. They didn't even dream that there would be an internet, except probably Al Gore did, because he was thinking it up in his head. But they didn't even dream there's going to be a thing called the internet one day, and that's still enacted today. That's why they can't get in trouble when they sell your information. All they have to do is tell you, when you click here, you're accepting our terms and conditions.
All 1,000 pages of them. So, Forrest, I want to pick your brain on something related to privacy. So, we're kind of at an inflection point globally on a bunch of big privacy issues. And right now, we don't really know which way it's going to go. But one of the big issues that's going on, and for those of you that have been involved in the firearms community for a long time, you're going to recognize this argument of it's to protect the kids, because that's always the excuse for removing more of your rights by a certain group of people. And age verification on operating systems is a big topic right now. Lots of states, lots of countries are passing laws requiring some sort of age verification. But ultimately, what age verification is, for the people that see through it's to protect the kids, is to de-anonymize the internet. Because if you have to verify your age, you have to provide some sort of identity, biometrics, something to prove either who you are or information that can be cross-referenced to figure out who you are, so that your actions on the internet can be tracked back to you. So if these become the norm, if this is the new thing we're going to have to deal with, how do we stay anonymous on the internet?
So if you don't actively do something to be anonymous, if you don't actively do things to be anonymous, every single thing you do is known and tracked. And I'm going to maybe I'll blow your mind a little bit. Don't mean to. Everything you do in your car, every time you hit the brake pedal, every time you turn, you go over the speed limit, every bit of that is recorded and sent back, sometimes through your own phone when you connect your phone to the data port or Bluetooth of your car. And you're like, what? Yes. A good site to check that out is called Privacy for Cars. I know the guy that runs that, and he's trying to get, the companies from recording that. Every time you do a charge card at the grocery store, every time you buy a pair of Nike shoes, anytime you go and get cash from the ATM, everything you do is being recorded. Everything. So they're doing that to adults now. And so the age verification is to get the kids, because they're like, we can't have them anonymous on the internet. And when the kids, and then all of a sudden everything they do is tracked. I'm just telling you, if there was a big supercomputer, it'd take up the size of like Virginia. They could literally see everything you've done in your lifetime and map it out on a wall, and you would just, it would take your breath away. So the idea is this, is to use tools so that your information is not being stored in the big data centers, like in Utah. The goal is that information, it could be stored, but it's not tied to you. And that's a lot when we go through the disappear on the internet. That's what we kind of do. And I'll give you an example. Is I use a credit card made by a company called privacy.com. That card, privacy.com it does this to protect my privacy. So when I buy something, if I go into McDonald's and buy a Happy Meal, I can use the privacy.com card. It does not have my name or anything about me, and McDonald's has no idea that it was me that bought that. They have no idea. And they can't track it because my card changes all the time. So they can't just say, well, and do facial identification and link it to my card. That's not going to work. Then when the money comes in my bank, because when the bank pays people, they track that and it's recorded. When privacy clears that money from your account, they don't use the actual store that you bought that from. They use like H&G hardware store. And you're like, what? And so the bank doesn't actually see where you spent that money. That's one way. And you're like, well, that's hard. Who's going to do that? And my response is then just live with being tracked everything you do.
I mean,
I personally don't, I make the decision not to do that.
Overall, that when it comes to actually like being private and protecting your privacy, that's a fairly easy thing to do. Mm-hmm. That's not all that inconvenient to do a privacy.
It's not at all. And so, and then I use me and you both. We like a company, and I've done a deep dive in this company. The biggest problem with this company, they do have someone from the IMF on their board of directors. Kind of makes me mad, but it doesn't affect what they call open source code. So we use a company called Proton for our emails, my calendar, for my VPN, because we know it's open source. People way smarter than me can look at the code and tell me that what I'm doing is private. But it costs money. A little bit of money. You can get a free account, but
and that's the thing to remember too. You know, we'll use Gmail as the example of this. Yeah, if it's free, then you are the product. You know, yes. Gmail is making a fortune off of reading your emails, so that you can be better marketed to. And, you know, Forrest, you probably talk a little bit more about this. Every human being on Earth has an ID that they don't know that they have. Yes. And that is their advertising ID.
Yes. You can actually go in Google and see your advertising ID and see what they have about you. It will say, and I show this in my class, it will show your name, if you're married, if you have a college degree, if you have kids, and you're like, what a minute. And you keep going down all the statistics they have on you, and you can request them to delete it, but they're like, yeah, wink their eye, yeah, we deleted it. And you can see what your advertising ID is, and you can actually go in there and change it too. They don't tell you that, but you can. And you could say, hey, I'm a 14-year-old, well, let's don't go there. I'm an 18-year-old, girl. All of a sudden you're going to, everything you go to is going to be advertising to an 18-year-old girl.
You're going to get a lot of Sephora ads, right?
Yeah. American Eagle.
Ads. Banana Republic, whatever. Yeah.
But so you can do a search, maybe ask, browser or AI, to give you the link of how to find that. And you can literally go in there and see. But everyone in the world is being, their data is being tracked. I don't care if you're in Kenya. Everyone in the world, their data is being tracked.
And that's something, there's a lot of discussion. Why do we need all these AI data centers? What is the deal with this? And I think, and I don't have a great proof on this. Forrest, you may have proof of this. But I think one of the reasons that we need so many more data centers, we are producing so much more data through all of these systems than it's possible to go through, sort, organize, and utilize. So I think a big part of this push is to have the processing ability to actually use all of the data that is being gathered on every human being on Earth.
Yeah, today it's tough to go through that. But if you think about this. We need bigger and bigger data centers. And yet storage devices have gotten smaller, smaller, and smaller, and smaller. Mm-hmm. And they still can't build enough data centers. And it's the processing power to be able to analyze all this. There's a big data center in Utah. It's massive. So one of the things I used to do is build data centers. I built data centers across 5 states, and we ended up selling that business. But I built data centers. Our data centers, my biggest data center at the time was 37,000 square foot. That's huge. These data centers today, over 1.5 million square foot is the one that is in Salt Lake, or not Salt Lake, but in Utah. And you're like, my data center could fit in there like 100 and sometimes a lot.
Yes.
I'm not going to do the math. But and data has gotten smaller and more. You know, you used to get a jump drive or a thumb drive, and if you got one that was 32 megabytes or gigabytes, that's like $60. And now you get them free when you go to shows.
Yes, people hand out those things all the time. And, you know, and it's not just that kind of stuff. You know, you kind of mentioned automobiles, you know, with some of the new regulations coming to the automobile world for safety and the connected dash and all this stuff. I heard a rumor, and again, I don't have a second verification on this. This is, in theory, it's possible. I don't know if they're actually going to do it, but there's a rumor that Ford, in the 2027 models, because they're going to have cameras in the dashboard to determine if you're distracted or you are intoxicated, you have other things. But not only is it going to do that, but it's also going to run your image through a criminal database before it allows you to start your car. Now, is that true? It could be totally made up. But the interesting fact about that is it is possible.
Yes.
Whether they're going to do it or not. And as technology progresses, we got all these things, you know, I don't want a new car. I want to, you know, I'm going to put on my like real survivalist hat here. And I want like a 1982 Chevy K5 Blazer, you know, in camouflage. All right. With 35s. Yeah.
I want one of them that was a car and a truck. El Camino.
You want an El Camino? Get an get an El Camino SS with a 454. I mean,
so
yeah.
There are apps that you probably currently have on your phone that track everything that you do in your car as well.
Mm-hmm.
One is the weather app or the radar app. It's called Radar, and it tracks your speed, location, sudden stops, and they literally sell that to the insurance company. Another one is Gas Buddy. Terrible. They record everything when you're in that car, and they sell it to insurance companies currently. And you're like, what? How can they do that? Because you hit that. I agree. Hey, let's take a quick break.
Has your data been hacked? Do you feel uneasy about the vulnerability of your personal information online? Were you involved in the Target, LinkedIn, or Microsoft data leaks? Don't know? If not, then pay attention. Join Forrest Garvin from PrepperNet for a free webinar on privacy and security. Gain insights into safe internet browsing, VPNs, crafting online aliases, secure emails, detecting if your data has been hacked, and managing passwords. Secure your spot today for this webinar on privacy and security. It's free. This webinar delves into comprehensive strategies for bolstering your online privacy. We've got you covered, from fortifying your passwords to shielding your financial information and mastering state-of-the-art encryption techniques. We're offering 2 convenient dates to suit your schedule. Reserve your spot now at preppernet.com/privacy. Don't let cyber threats erode your peace of mind any longer. Take the first step toward a safer, more secure online experience by joining us for our free webinar. Remember, knowledge is power when it comes to safeguarding your privacy. Sign up now at preppernet.com/privacy. We'll see you there.
Yep. And that's the thing. There's somebody else's podcast I listen to that calls the cell phone the Babylonian rectangle of death.
Yeah.
And it truly is. I mean, one of the things that, you know, this is kind of a little more out there in privacy thing, but my wife and I both have Faraday bags in our get home bags. They're bug out bags. And the reason it's in there is if there is some reason we need to do something and we need to disappear, put your cell phone in it, you know, kill the thing, because powering it off, it doesn't stop it from collecting certain data. It'll just upload it as soon as you turn it back on. sticking that in a Faraday bag so that, you're not being tracked at that time. Because we've seen it. We saw it with January 6th. We've seen it with other protests and events and political things that
it's still recording when it's off.
Yep.
So I have a privacy phone. It's using a Android phone. We take all the Android and Google stuff off there, and we put a software on called Graphene OS. And there's no tracking. You can completely control all the information coming to the phone and going from the phone. And that's my privacy phone. I personally don't connect it to antennas, cell phone, because that's a tracking way. I use Wi-Fi, but before I connect to any Wi-Fi, I'm using a VPN. So it's and we do this with my clients as well. That's how we protect them. But yeah, you can, again, it's a little difficult, but, I'm not trying to sell my class here, but my class, there's nothing like my class on the internet. The detail I get into and the information I share, you're not going to find it. You can watch YouTube for 6 years, and some of the things and techniques that we talk about, it's not there. And that's because I was trained by the one of the best experts in the privacy field in the world. The government has kind of proved that by hiring him and him consulting and helping the CIA, the FBI, and all these covert different organizations. And he's the guy that trained me for 8 years now. It's 9, going on 9 years now. So, but my class, and I'm going to just throw it out here. Sorry, I know I'm not hijacking this.
No,
GarvinAcademy.com. GarvinAcademy.com. You'll see free webinar, and just go down there and sign up. It's a free webinar. It's free, and I teach you a lot of stuff in there. So,
and that's one of the things we talked about this to take this back to the prepping perspective. All of this data, all this digital exhaust, makes it so much easier to locate and identify people in the U.S. than it does. In the global war on terror, we had to work to build targeting packages and figure out who was who in the Al-Qaeda networks and that kind of thing, because those people were off grid, and they're as off grid as you're going to find anybody, living in a small town in, Afghanistan. Here, the amount of information about you is, in the probably terabytes, if not petabytes, of information about your life and everything that you've done. And it's, when your cell phone, when you, go out to dinner or go out to lunch with friends, your cell phone sees, oh, I'm in close proximity of Forrest's cell phone, and I'm in close proximity of whoever else's cell phone. And it's able to establish this pattern of life through this information because, hey, these people's cell phones are all together. They probably know each other, and they were together for a certain amount of time. So they weren't just walking down the street. They were, they were in the, O'Charlie's or whatever for 2 hours at noon. They probably, there's all this information that is collected, and, we have to figure out what's an acceptable amount for us.
So don't lose hope, though, because here is the great thing. Data, the value of data is on a timeline. The data that they have stored on you when you were 4 years old, no one gives a hoot about that. So the data you did 8 years ago, they kind of don't care about that either. So the idea is it's a lost cause. No, you can change it now, and in 2 years, 3 years, your current data and last year's data becomes completely it's not sellable. No one wants to know what you did 9 years ago. They don't care unless there's a criminal or something like that happens, or your crime or something. But as time goes, your data gets less valuable. And so the idea is put a flag in the ground and say, today, I'm going to change what they record about me, And then all of a sudden your data every single month, every single year, decade, it gets less valuable. And all of a sudden you've literally turned the course and you've gotten out of the system. And that's what I try to help people do and get their mindset of like, okay, you know everything about me today, but next year you're not going to know anything about me, but you're still going to know what I did. But that the data just becomes less valuable. So put that flag in, put that stake in the ground and say, okay, I'm changing my ways. And you can, with the tools we have available today, and with a little bit of discipline and a little bit of money, not a lot of money. Most of the things that I get people into, I mean, it literally, the total, if you do everything, and that's buying a new phone and everything, and getting, the right VPNs, buying the right home routers and everything, it's probably less than $1,000.
That's not a huge investment when you consider a lot of that stuff you got to have anyway. It's making smart decisions as that time comes along. So I keep seeing things online about poisoning the data that they have on you by feeding it bad stuff. Is that worthwhile?
Yes.
Or
yes, I call it something else, but I call it misinformation.
Yeah.
And in my course, we go over misinformation. So I didn't know I was going to do all this, but it's just, my course is so relevant to this. And I'm writing a book on this too, by the way. So imagine I teach people to literally, we're going to virtually move you out of your house. Your address all over the internet is going to show that you live somewhere else now. And we're going to move someone else virtually into your house. So when people search for you, they're going to see, oh, he moved. He no longer lives at that address. He lives over here now because all his addresses are over here now. And you're like, what? How can that happen? Well, it can happen pretty easily. And we do this all the time. And we literally, it's called misinformation. So we just populate the databases out there that you moved, and you get magazines, you get the Wall Street Journal, you get Money Magazine, you get the free subscription to both. And all of a sudden the magazines sell that information to everyone in the world. And all of a sudden it's going to show that you live somewhere else.
So
then you do the same to your house. I'm going to move Joe and Mary into my house. I'm going to buy magazines. Get subscriptions. I'm going to sign up for drawings. I'm going to sign up for cruises. The big prize thing you can sign up for to win money?
Yeah, I don't. The Publishers Clearinghouse or something like that.
You sign up for all that, and within 6 months, you will not. Everything's going to be newer, and it's going to show that you moved, and that someone else living in your house. And then we go through the benefits of what that can do for you. So yeah, we go through all that. So that is poisoning in a sense. I call it misinformation because it doesn't sound illegal. Hey, let's take a quick break.
Are you a prepper or homesteader looking to connect with like-minded people in your area? Looking to start your own preparedness group? Already have a group? Well, look no further than PrepperNet. PrepperNet is dedicated to personal responsibility, individual freedoms, and being self-reliant. PrepperNet has monthly meetings in over 100 cities where you can meet and learn with like-minded people in your area. PrepperNet, where preppers unite. Find us online at preppernet.com.
So is this like, your new address is Wrigley Field? Is that what you do?
So where we try to move you to is a place that no one actually lives.
Okay.
Because we don't want to put someone else in danger if they're looking for you or something. So what we'll do is apartment complex, they got 3 floors. We're going to put you, room 506 kind of thing.
Okay.
So there's not an actual room with 506 or a neighborhood that has an address that would be the next one or the next two houses down, and it's not there, kind of thing.
Okay.
And then we could do some mail forwarding. It's not complicated, and it's a lot of fun, to be honest with you. It's like I tell people, just create an alias. And the one I always use is no one's ever thought of this. Come up with an alias and you use it. I mean, something cool the ladies would like James Pond. What a great name. My name's James Pond. It's with a P.
Yeah,
I'm a little weird.
But no, that is so cool, and nobody talks about that kind of stuff. That is pretty neat with all of the data collection and data harvesting and stuff that is going on, because your ability to hide from a nation state is one thing, but the fact that insurance companies, everybody is collecting stuff to use against you, raise your premiums, whatever it is, that if you can mess up those databases, then that.
So it's not always, you're totally correct. It's not always about hiding your data. It's about portraying, giving the data to them that is misinformation. It's kind of hard sometimes to hide your data, but you can project, I am someone else. Here's my data. Please record that, because it means nothing to me and it means nothing to you. And it's how we project ourselves. So I give a good example. And I go to shows, an Automate show. It's a robotic technology show in Atlanta all the time, because I have a company that does all that stuff. So I go down there. I could literally sign up to go to the show as my name is Robert Young. I could say my company is Young Consulting. I could have an email and a phone number, and I'll get a badge when I get there that says Robert Young. I'll have some business cards in my back pocket so I can register for all these little giveaways, the little glass fish bowls. And I'll walk into that place where there's 50, 60, 70,000 people, and everyone there knows me as Robert Young, because I've identified myself as Robert Young. I have business cards that will say that I'm Robert Young. I've fooled everyone there, and that is totally 100% legal to do.
Yeah, as long as you're not doing it with a bank or something like that.
As long as it's not fraudulent or you're doing criminal act. And so I projected myself as Robert Young, and all the ladies were like, "How do we get his phone number?" That was a joke.
But no, that's that side of the privacy thing. And it sounds very James Bond-ish.
Yes.
But it's something that everybody needs to consider in today's world, because, what good does it do if you're a prepper and you've got your doomsday bunker and you've got 7 or 10 or 20 years of food and supplies and everything else, if all of the raiders out there have found all your information on the internet and know, hey, I'm going to go here when the balloon goes up. There's that, plus, like we were talking about, the companies that may want to use this against you. And there's certain laws about certain things they can and can't do that with, but having privacy, having some sense of disconnect, because another thing that, we talk about patterns of life. You've talked about all the things that you can establish, by watching social media that the neighbors are doing in your area study at times. But there's also, with all the connected devices, people, if you're listening to this, please do not put your refrigerator and your dishwasher and your stove on your Wi-Fi. Okay, just don't. It is not worth it. And if you do, set it up on a VLAN that is firewalled away from everything else that you care about to protect it. But the thing is, so if you're doing that, okay, now Whirlpool knows what time of day that you do the dishes.
It's worse than that. In California, they would take over people's thermostats and adjust their thermostats when they were using too much power.
Yeah.
And people are like, what? You can't do that. Yes, they can. They did.
And I think other states have done that too.
Yes, they have.
And
so they can literally make your house hotter when you're not there and your dog dies. No, I'm kidding. Maybe your dog doesn't die. No one cry yet. And they can make it hotter. And then you come home and go, how did it get to 90 degrees? And then you adjust it down. So, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing is totally a thing. Yeah.
And they all have microphones.
Probably.
The smart thermostats. The very first Google one that ever was made, they have microphones.
Well, all of them have this voice, recognition stuff on it attached to it too, which again, I'm not going to suggest that you do this, but if you know how to use a hot air rework station for like soldering and that kind of thing, those components are removable.
Yeah.
Just going to throw that out there for the more technical people out there. But this is such an issue that everyone has welcomed into their space, or at least accepted it. So, I know we're going kind of long on the privacy one, but I got another question for you on this one, Forrest. So, with the most recent, we'll call it the router ban, that's restricted bringing in a lot of routers to the U.S., though, frankly, most of it's still available because there's enough of it in country that it's not an issue. That being said, do you have a particular recommendation at this point, or do we need to attend your class to find that out?
Well, first of all, I want to tell people something that is very scary that really happened in America, and you're going to go, that would never happen in America. There were routers that had compromised software that were in millions of people's homes in America. The FBI decided it was such a threat to America. The FBI went into your router and updated your software without you knowing it. And they did that. And people are like, what? Yes, they had a program. This was recent, within the last 3 years. They went into all these routers, and how they knew where they all were, I don't know, but you can look it up. They went in all these routers. They updated the software to protect America. And you're like, well, I'm glad they did that to save America. But then you start thinking about it going, wait a second. The FBI released software through the internet to update my router? That's an invasion of how can you do that?
Because everybody else did that. Into it.
They did that. So currently right now, when it comes to routers, and to be honest with you, there's only 2 routers that are made in America and that we fully trust. And I'll be honest with you, they're cost prohibitive. You're not going to buy one. They're $300. And when there's one beside it, and Cisco is starting to make one right now. If Cisco, I'll just say a Cisco router and a NetLink or Linksys router, there's about a 1,000% difference in price. But all routers right now in America sold in stores. There's some that are made in Indonesia, and who knows? But most of them are made. All of them have Chinese chips. But here's the thing. Here's the way I look at it. I have a router. I have a Wi-Fi. So let me just tell you my network real quick. I have fiber comes into the house. It comes into an AT&T router. Then that goes into my router, which is a VPN router. Has a VPN software there. So none of my computers run a VPN because your VPN can fail. You don't even know it on your computer. It's ran on the router software. And there's a thing called what do you call it when it cuts off? It cuts all traffic off. It's called a what?
It's like a fail-safe or something.
Fail-safe or something. There's another name for it. So if the VPN cuts off on that router, there's no traffic that's going to go through there. And so that's what I have in my house. But through my router, there's 2 routers. One goes to all the appliances, to all the computers. The other one goes to my studio, because guess what you don't want on your router that's being encrypted is video and audio like we're doing now. So it's open up to the world. But all my other information where I do real work, that's encrypted at the router level and then shipped through the internet, through the AT&T to AT&T. So is there a chip in there that's capturing everything? I don't think so. We can't see the traffic that it does that. Could they turn it on? We don't know. But so at this point right now, I have not upgraded any of my routers because the choices are not good. But I do have a VPN router, and I set them up for people all the time. I install Proton on there.
Cool. Yeah, because it's most of those will do WireGuard or
WireGuard,
OpenVPN, one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very cool. All right, well, we're going to wrap up. I mean, we could sit here and talk privacy all night. It is such a cool topic, and it is so relevant to our everyday lives right now, not when the end of the world comes, but today, and how that we function and how our world works. But I want to thank Forrest for coming on today with us and sharing some of his Kung Fu secret agent. Can
I put my shirt on now?
Yeah. I forgot you didn't have a shirt on. I can't see you. I don't know. I mean, if that's the case, yeah, sure. But we're gonna wrap this one up. Again, thank you guys for attending. Thank you guys for listening. It was a great time talking to you, Forrest. It is
great.
always
Awesome.
great to do. It's always great to do a podcast with you. Be sure to, if you're interested in communication stuff, check me out at Grid Down Comms Up. If you're interested in privacy, go over to the Garvin Academy and check out Forrest's classes where you can learn a lot more about this fascinating topic and all the other stuff that's going on. Also, if you're interested in prepping and you want to meet other like-minded preppers, come on over to the preppernet.net site, sign up. It is free for now. We may have to start charging at some point. You never know. But it is free. Get to know some other folks. There's a wealth of information there, and come get plugged in with some people that are just as strange as you are.
Yes. Find your new best friends.
Yep.
That's what I tell people.
Find your new best friends. Come hang out with us at Bug Out Camp or whatever, and we will catch you on the next episode of the Prepping Academy podcast.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Prepping Academy podcast. Preppers Unite at www.preppingacademy.com.
Are you a prepper or homesteader looking to connect with like-minded people in your area? Looking to start your own preparedness group? Already have a group? Well, look no further than PrepperNet. PrepperNet is dedicated to personal responsibility, individual freedoms, and being self-reliant. PrepperNet has monthly meetings in over 100 cities where you can meet and learn with like-minded people in your area. PrepperNet, where preppers unite. Find us online at preppernet.com.